I spoke a little bit with a guy. Basically, I told him, because he said that this film does not represent Israel, I said, okay, but you tone down because both our film do not represent Israel, because we are not in the category of the foreign film which represent the country. We are competing with all the movies that has been all around the world. But we had a conversation a few times.
And how long did it take you from inception through shooting to do the film? And then how long did you edit for?
3.5 years, from starting the idea to finishing the final, and most of it was spent in the editing room, trying to shape. I have around 75 hours of interviews with them, photographed, and the big, long process was to shape it into the 97 minutes that you saw here.
Were there any elements of the interviews that you had to cut out for time, or because they changed where you were going to go?
Of course, a lot.
What's the one that you really wish you could have put in but you couldn't?
My kidneys, my lungs, my whatever, almost all my organs left on the editing room floor. But basically, one story that kind of troubled me a lot that I left out was the childhood of each one of those people, because I wanted to create kind of a sense of where they came from. And the sentence that Avraham Shalom says in the end of the film, which basically compare the Israeli army to a brutal occupation force, which is similar to the German in the Second World War. When he said that to me, and he of course he refrained from comparing it to what they did with the Jews, with the Holocaust, but this sentence for me was like I got a fist into my stomach. For a Jew and for someone who educated in Israel about the Holocaust, it's almost unbearable to hear those kind of sentences. But bear in mind that Avraham Shalom, as a child, was born in Vienna, 1930. He grew up without knowing that he is a Jew. He saw in the unification of Germany and Austria, he went as a child to see Hitler giving the speech from the balcony upstairs. Wow. His mother forced him to go to, after the Kristallnacht, forced him to go to school. He was beaten almost to death by his classmate because he was a Jew. He felt firsthand what it meant to Jew in an anti-Semitic environment. He said that he remembered how the parents of his friends told his friends not to go with him because he is a dirty Jew. So when he gives that comparison, I felt that I cannot take it out, because he knows firsthand better than anybody else what it means to feel under such a regime or terror. So although it was very hard for me, I decided to leave it in because I felt that this is what he wanted to say. And from the way that I see the Israeli, especially the young people in Israel now, the racism, this is what worries me the most as an Israeli.
I actually was speaking to somebody that, what is it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, just given the ascendancy of right-wing forces in the Israeli power structure, like there are in the American power structure, what do you see as the prospects for the future?
Well, for me, the most dangerous part in the strive for peace is those extreme right, religious, ultra-right-wing Jews. And for me also, I think that the religious extremism, and I'm not just saying it in terms of the Israelis, the Jews, the Muslims, the Christian, this is the biggest danger today to the world. If we could have, as a society, the human society, if we could, well, in a way, try to eliminate those, well, eliminate is not the word, but to try to reduce those elements in the society, it will be the best for everybody. I mean, when you see the Muslims, when you see every time that there is a movement towards peace, both extremism from both sides, the Israeli, the Jewish one, extreme right wing, which basically wanted to blow up the Dome of the Rock, what you saw in the film, assassinated Prime Minister Rabin. Also during the disengagement, the threat, as the head of Shin Bet told me, on Sharon's life and on the Dome of the Rock, because they know that this is the two ways that they can kind of avoid releasing those land, is either assassinating the Prime Minister or causing damage to the Dome of the Rock. And vice versa, when you see every time that there's move towards peace, the extremist Muslim from the Hamas, from the Islamic Jihad, are the same thing. If we could have there is a very nice island called Madagascar. If we could assemble all of them, all those extremism, and send them there with can-can dancers, that they can have good life there, it will be the best for us, I think.
Yeah, well, good evening. I wanted to know what exactly is the aim of the You don't have the Palestinian side at all. You don't have the fact that 20,000 people were either injured or killed during the Second Intifada. You don't have the...
From the Palestinian side, you mean?
No.
From the Israeli side? Oh, okay.
We have about 20,000, about 2,000 killed and around 18,000. You don't show all this in this film. It looks to me as if it's only one-sided. Did you have anything in mind to achieve this?
Well, I didn't try as a goal to achieve one-sided. I thought that I'm telling the story from the point of view of the people who their task, those Avi Dichter that you saw here, the task of the Shin Bet was to prevent those terrorist attacks that you are speaking about. But having said that, I think that what my aim was in doing that movie is to understand the strategy of that. That means there is the tactics, which is basically the moves on the ground. How do you prevent terror? How do you fight terror? And there is also the strategy, which basically deals with where do we want to take that conflict further ahead in the future. Do we want to maintain it? Do we want to continue fighting all our life? This is the message that we are giving to our future generation in Israel. And you are right. In the Second Intifada, the Palestinian terror killed many. Believe me, I was near 2 suicide bombs in Tel Aviv, in Dizengoff Center. I saw people in a way that you cannot imagine even. But at the end of the day, you have to understand the reason for that. And the reasons for that is basically the lack of leadership on both sides to reach an agreement. And this is where I wanted the message of the film to be. The message of the film, this can be solved. It's not something that is from God from above who says this is an unsolvable problem. This is a problem that can be solved, and if we will have good leadership on both sides, it will be solved. So, you know, I showed how the Palestinian terror have injured Israelis. I think that the picture that you saw of this turned up bus does not leave a lot to imagination, and believe me, if there is something that I try to do is to try to be as balanced as I can, coming from the mouth of those people. Don't forget that the message is coming from 6 heads of the Israeli Secret Service. These are the guys that are target assassinating. These are the guys that are torturing in order to get information. These are the guys that are responsible to fight terror in every form or way that you can. These are the guys that were responsible to maintain security in Israel and basically to get to the intelligence that will prevent those horrible terrorist attacks that you have just mentioned. But this is their conclusion. And with this you have to face and to sort yourself, what do I do from this moment on? Am I continuing to blame the other side all the time that he is the one that is responsible without looking at myself where is my responsibility? And in this way it will continue. You know, Bibi Netanyahu, our current prime minister, is very good at that, saying all the time we don't have partners, but while he's doing that, he's negotiating with Hamas. He's putting Hamas more on the platform as a strong force and humiliating the side that wants basically to reach peace or says that he wants to reach peace.
Wouldn't you have achieved more if you had the other side as well? That's my question.
By the other side, what do you mean?
Well,
I don't understand.
Side. The incitement, the schools that they have, that they show that jihadists is the highest achievement that somebody can get.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm looking at my society. I wish, and believe me, that there were a lot of Palestinians who saw the film and said, we wish we could do films like that on our society as well. Regrettably, it doesn't appear, or it's not there. I don't think that the film says that the Palestinians are doves and that only if the Israelis will come out with a peace plan, 1,000 white doves will emerge from the ground. Not at all. But I'm looking as a filmmaker